All right. Hey, what's up, guys? I'm here with MaroonVI. He finished 5-1 in the Bay Area Regionals, and I actually faced him, I believe, in the 5th round. Is that right?
Yeah, well, it was 5th round, and then you're 2-2, right? At the time?
Yeah, I was 2-2 at that time, and then you gave me my 3rd loss. But I actually know MaroonVI from previous tournaments, and we're actually working towards Ultra Friends right now. But for those that don't know who you are, would you like to introduce yourself, your username, your location, and your current global ranking, if you know it?
Yeah, so I'm MaroonVI. I am from the Tri-Valley Discord, off of the Pokemon Bay Area Discord, and let's see, what was the other thing?
Global ranking.
Oh yeah, global ranking. Immediately after the tournament, I was like 260, but I'm pretty sure that's like in the 300s now. But that makes sense.
All right, and so how did you get into Pokemon Go, and how long have you been playing it?
So I played the first 3 generations of the Pokemon games, so when I heard about Pokemon Go, I was like pretty stoked. So I played from the beginning. I didn't even have actually my own phone to play on. Like I was like borrowing people's phones because I still had a dumb phone, not a smartphone. So but it was a good time. And then like when PvP was announced, I was just like super stoked because I was all about battling, even though when I was like young I would just use Ice Punch and win the whole game, but that's okay.
All right, so what team did you use for regionals? Do you think you could kind of go over those Pokemon and maybe even give us some insight as to why you built your team that way?
Sure, yeah. So I went actually 3 water Pokemon and 2 mud boys. So I did Wishcash and Quagsire, and then I had Azu, Medicham, and Skarmory, so really standard for those 3. And then I went Melmetal, and that was really mainly because I couldn't afford a Bastiodon.
So if you could have afforded one, would you gone Bastiodon instead?
You know, hindsight, probably no, but I don't really know, because I mean I never got to even use it. So I just had been using Melmetal from Kingdom, so I was already pretty familiar using it, and it did some solid work in that cup.
Can you kind of explain why you went with the 2 Mud Boys and a Zoo? Like, obviously that's not a very standard meta build. Like, in regionals, like if you looked at the list of teams, almost everyone had a very standard team of the 5 Pokemon of the 5 roles, plus a flex Pokemon, right? Like, that's what I went with, that's what One Shot Paul went with. The only, like, the winner, Trainer AJG, actually didn't go with that, I think. He actually kind of went with something off as well, having 3 water Pokemon or something.
Yeah, and Hydro Pumping.
Hydro Pump. So, can you kind of explain why you chose to use 2 Mud Boys on your team, and why you decided to do that?
So it kind of goes with my like philosophy. Like I saw in your previous video that like One Shot Paul was like, yeah, the meta is the meta for a reason. I'm always that guy who's like, I want to be myself. I want to do whatever I want. And also, like, I always try and look ahead. Like, from the previous experience in the Cups, I noticed that it's a trend that, like, in my opinion, like, 3 metas form. Like, so, like, the first impressions of what people think are good. Then there's the first meta, and then there's some weird stuff that comes in at the last minute. And it's only a month. So, basically, what happened for regionals is, like, the initial thoughts, everybody's like Altaria, and then like the first meta in my opinion, and people were like, yeah, Altaria, I don't know, and then people came up with the core, right? And then like this second meta that kind of formed was then like Haunter, Beedrill, completely destroys everything, right?
Yep.
And so actually my team was kind of a response to that, because my original team was 5, like probably most people 5 out of 6 were weak to Haunter. So I was like, how do I deal with that? And one thing I was just stumbling across when using PvPoke and Sims was that Mud Boys actually work, or Mud Boys do fine in that. But I'm like, but like Venusaur, everybody's gonna take Venusaur.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, how do I deal with this? And so I kind of found a way to make the comp work, and kind of make it so it was kind of a slight bait. Like, oh man, I have 3 water things, come at me with a Razor Leafer, and then almost most round 1s I didn't take any of them, which guaranteed me 1 out of 3 wins. So
now 3 Pokemon was just like a slam dunk, right?
Or at least gonna have a favorite, right?
Yeah.
Because that's all the biggest complaint with PvP is that it's like, oh, it's like rock, paper, scissors on the lead. Oh, I don't really know. But I just found a way to then be like, these are the lines that I practiced with, and like if I'm uncertain or I have a reasonable shot, that this is gonna be my first line, or this is gonna be my first line, and that was it. There was no negotiation unless there was something super wrong. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So the next, how did you prepare for regionals? Like, what did you do because you ran a kind of off meta team, so obviously you had to do something to make sure that it worked. Like you mentioned a second ago that you used PV Poked and ran Sims, but was there anything else that you did?
PvP Discord, so I forget what it's called now, but yeah, one of them, I'm in whatever Viridian League. I'm actually in a league, on one of the online leagues with Steve7, which I think he also makes YouTube content, and he's chill. But basically I did a mixture of, draft sims where you reveal your 6, you don't, or just free-for-all. And like, even in free-for-all, like if you're, I don't know, like if you've done this, I'm sure you've done this, where you just go like a bunch in a row, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're just battling. It's like, then I would intentionally just favor Mud Boys. And then if I was getting wins, and then keep seeing what I could do to like manage that, right? It's not a disadvantage unless like I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. So that's how I kind of practiced with that, and then through that just kind of found how I wanted my comp. Because really, in the beginning, first few weeks after regionals was announced, I was getting trashed by like everyone. I practiced a lot with other locals in Tri-Valley, like TM, who's our Tri-Valley coordinator, and yeah.
All right, so when we both went to regionals, and that was my first time going to SFSU. Was that your first time?
Yeah, I've never been there.
Okay, so I guess I wanted to get your impressions on regionals. It was the first time the Silph Arena ever had regionals. It was the first time SFSU has ever held regionals. What were your overall impressions on the venue, the organization, and the Pokemon pool? How they picked the past 4 tournaments, I think, and they allowed any Pokemon that was eligible in those 4 tournaments to be eligible for regionals. What are your overall impressions of those 3 things?
Honestly, I was glad because it saved me a ton of dust. Like, I'm not a player who plays like a ton, or like, I mean, I play a decent amount, but I can't grind as much as other people. So, like, yeah, like not being able to access Bastiodon. Honestly, like, your team had Sableye, but like, honestly, I couldn't even entertain the idea of Sableye. And then even Medicham, like, I didn't use one in Boulder, so I had to build one for this. But it was at least like, a lot of the stuff like the Melmetal, the Azu, the Wishcash, the Quagsire, the Skarmory were all built. So it gave in terms of the type format, I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Venue, I thought it was really cool. I thought it was funny that it was all tiered, like as you saw in your other video. And I was immediately, when I got in there, started making the joke that, oh, are we gonna climb or are we gonna like fall, like literally?
Yeah. Unfortunately for me, like I was always at the bottom level, right? Like it went from the first, like the higher ranked battles were always on the floor, and then like the second and third were like the lower ranked battles, right? I never made it to the second or third.
No, so that was like, it was like, oh my gosh, do you have to like fall to climb? And I was, because I had my first match was on the second floor.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And then everything else was on the bottom floor.
Okay.
But no, it was an awesome venue. Like, shout out to Pokégatrs, awesome, very cool. And it was cool that also, like, I know TM helped out and stuff, so like it was cool that they collaborated and everything, and with the judges and everything, and that there was live streaming. Like, there were some technical difficulties, but it was legit. Yeah. And it was also nerve-wracking when you're like, I'm at the 1 seed, because I had 3 matches at the 1 seed.
Oh, did you had 3 matches during
Yeah,
the
it was
stream?
funny because then one of the people in my Discord, Ivok Ryu, was like, "Oh my god, dude, Rune 6 is on stream." Because my second match, which was against Darth Vader, I forget.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right, Darth Vader. Okay.
and then
He was the
the
highest
match,
ranked person before the tournament to be in
Yeah.
that tournament. Yeah.
and then trainer AJG, which was my third round, and then my last game because they were saving the first round
Mhm.
to be filmed and wait for all of us to like watch. So then they filmed the second table, which then was me. So I was like, oh my gosh.
Man, Mr. Popular is super
Yeah.
being featured 3 out of the 6 battles.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
scary.
All right, so the next question I wanted to ask you was during the tournament, like I would say you had one of the more unusual lineups, one of the more unusual team compositions, but did you face anyone else that had an unusual team? And if so, what was it? Like, how did it perform?
The first round I went against somebody who had an Umbreon, which I was like, oh damn, I don't know how to actually do anything. Like I did not look up anything on this, but I know it's at least alright. And then I was really happy to see Kanaku had Gallade. And because I was totally looking at that again, another response to that meta of Haunter, because it shuts it down and does pretty well into everything else. So I was like, oh man, that's legit. But in terms of everything else was pretty standard, and that like kind of helped because that's exactly what I prepared for. Because my team was all about being able to fight the standard team.
Yeah.
So it worked out in my favor, I guess. I guess.
So when you ran into that Umbreon, how did it perform against you? Like, did he use it? Did he or she use it? Like, what
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. I just trusted that my boys were good. That's literally all I did. I was like, I'm just gonna trust I can out DPS you
Okay.
and pray. And I brought Medicham, so I was like,
Oh
okay.
yeah, Medicham. Medicham takes super effective damage against Dark, right? No,
No, it'd be
neutral.
neutral.
Neutral. That's right. Okay.
So I was like, at minimum, if my Medicham gets buffed up a bit, then I can at least punch it down faster,
Yeah.
probably. But more so, I was like, I'm just gonna trust Mud Boys can win this matchup.
Yeah. Okay. So if there was one thing you would have changed on your team, what would it have been?
You know, honestly, I mean, I was trying to change my team up until like the minute we were getting there. Like,
Yeah, I remember
I
that.
literally, yeah, I was like, I was so TM starved. I didn't get any fast TMs 3 days before, and I really wanted to build a 98% PvP IV Quagsire, and my current one's like 90, so it's like literally bad. So I was trying to do that, but then I couldn't. So that would probably be the one change, but like I already tried, so it's not. I also did weird movesets, and I thought I might regret that in the end. Like I did Acid Spray Quagsire, and I thought I might regret that in terms of a matchup where I needed to one-shot something, like a Lantern or something. But that case never came up, so I guess there would have been potential for me to regret that. So I'm pretty satisfied with how my team turned out.
For
Yeah.
me, I think I would have changed my Azumarill to
You think so?
Hydro Pump. Hydro Pump, play rough.
I think it takes a ton of practice,
It does.
'Cause-
I'm sure it does. And
because you
it's-
can't lock yourself into the neutral. You actually have to avoid it, which seems really hard.
Like, what would be a neutral matchup against Skarmory?
No, I'm saying against yourself, the mirror.
Oh, against the
Like,
why?
like-
Because you'd be using play rough anyways, no?
oh, I guess.
Anyways, that
So
yeah.
I guess no, Altaria. Yeah, you're still gonna be fine.
Because a lot of people brought Bastiodon as an Azumarill counter, right? Like
Mhm.
I did. I know I used Bastiodon as an Azumarill counter, and so if all of a sudden that flips, you know, that's a pretty big deal in my opinion.
No, it's huge. And honestly, the reason why I lost my first game against Trainer AJG is because I didn't respect the Hydro Pump possibility. So I led, or I don't remember. It was very early on in the match, and he just Hydro Pumped. Oh yeah, I think it was Medicham versus Azu, and then he just Hydro Pumped me. Or I don't remember what it was. Regardless, I got Hydro Pumped, and then I lost all my health, and I was like, oh my god. And so I'm like, I think I just lost. So then I was like, then my Skarmory came in, and I was like, I thought I was counting moves correctly, but then I was not, and I got hit by another Hydro Pump, and I was like, well, I actually just lost. So yeah, I mean, I'd say like, you know, the meta's the meta for a reason, but like, man, you can catch people off guard, and that's enough to get you one game, and that's probably enough to get you a series.
Okay. Yeah, the next question I have here is actually talk about your one loss and who was it to. You kind of just did right now, right? It was to trainer AJG, the eventual winner of our regionals. And yeah, you said you got Hydro Pumped, and that was something that was kind of unexpected on your part.
Yeah, that was game one. Game two, I then stuck with one of my core lineups. The thing that kind of threw me off about his lineup, which I knew was the one glaring weakness in my line if I did my strategies, was Lantern. Like, though I have Wish Cash, though I have Quagsire, I wasn't running Earthquake, right? And you know, one charge move that you don't miss, you miss blocking, is like the end of the world. But then the second game, I actually did a suboptimal move. I had a double power up punch Medicham, and I used Ice Punch on a Skarmory, and it should have been power up punch, and like the energy possibility would have made it so I actually won at the end by like one turn instead of losing by one turn. So, but I was already down a game, so that's what.
Okay. And so what are your hopes for the future of PvP?
I kind of hope that people do it more. That's like the honest thing. Like I feel like it's a really niche, and it's like, oh, this like niche part of Pokemon Go, and like I think it can be a bigger part, and I think people are like too afraid of like losing. I think that's really what it is. And like just trying it, you know, having fun with it, you know. Eventually, I mean, there's now a lot of guides and stuff, so you know that like, oh, counter's broken, so like, it's really easy to find the info now, not unlike the beginning where it was like a lot of pioneering, which I honestly loved. But like I just wish like more people would get into it and not worry about like, you know, go into a tournament and like, yeah, there's gonna be people at the top who are like really crazy, but there's also gonna be like, there's definitely a bottom level. Like my friend has just gotten back into it. He's been doing well, and he's level 26. So
yeah, that's why I try to tell people is that PvP, like even like I went 2 and 4 at regionals, right? But I still had a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and that's something you kind of just have to understand, that in any competition, if there's winners, there has to be losers, and that losing isn't always a bad thing. It's always, you learn more in losses than you do in wins. That's how I see it. And so like whenever someone's trying to like, oh, but you know, you guys are so far ahead of us, it's like, yeah, but if you never start, you never catch up. So
yeah, no, I mean, I think learned the most from my Twilight Cup, because one, I did not practice against Skunk Tank because I didn't know anybody who had one. And it was during the event. Like, I was really mad at that. Like, event spawns happened, so it was impossible to get one. But I also thought that I was like, I got second place in the first Boulder Cup. I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, there's one small mistake. I could have done better. But then Twilight, I just got my ass handed. And it was good because I figured out that like, oh, my team comp was not correct. Oh, it's a lot. I'm guessing a lot. Oh, like I'm trying to be way too hipster in my lineup, and that's costing me. Like I brought an Ariados.
Oh, Ariados?
Ariados, yeah.
The
the spider.
Yeah,
the spider from Gen 2.
Yeah.
And just because it could do okay against poison darts and like hold its own, and then Mega Horn would just surprise people. But I underestimated how many people bring Quillfish, blah blah blah. It was, but I learned the most from it.
For sure. All right, so the last thing on my list here is, do you have any closing thoughts? do you have any suggestions for people preparing for their own regionals? Yeah, any knowledge that you want to give?
Even though it's regionals, like, just be chill and have fun. I mean, like, honestly, like, me and my friend Mnac, and I think he set up the Discord server originally for the Bay Area. He and I were like, we were talking before. He hadn't done that much practice, and then he hadn't even done any PvP poke stuff, and I was exposing him to that to like minutes before the thing. It was great. And we were like, okay, for Tri-Valley, we're gonna just try and get 2 wins. And I'm like, no, how about actually 3 wins between both of us? That's all we're asking, you know. And we just had fun. Every time we walked by each other, like, did you win? And you're like, oh man, 1 win, we got 2. And then by the time we got 3, like, we can go home. like, just have fun with it, you know. I think my favorite part actually of regionals, like, besides being around like so many really good trainers, was actually just getting to reconnect with all the people that like I've seen, like Alan and Barry and Oski the Bear, like all these people like that I'd seen at all these different tournaments when I had made more efforts to go out to different places, like Menlo Park and Berkeley and stuff, and it was just like, oh my god, seeing you again, and like, oh my god, we're still working on Ultra Friends. And then just like rooting for everybody there, you know, and rooting for everybody that you've seen before. So that was cool.
Yeah, I think because PvP is so small right now, like, you see the same faces, and although it is a competition, it becomes kind of a community within the community, you know, like,
yeah,
people from different parts of the Bay Area will see each other at tournaments. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me and answering my questions, and bringing your unique perspective to PvP. I really think that hearing about your perspective, me personally too, has really made me rethink how I should go about future tournaments at the highest level, because I brought in a super meta team. I think I brought in the most meta team possible with the Sableye, right? Like,
yeah, I very much agree with you on that.
And I did terribly, because like what you said was that when everyone is running the same team, it becomes a guessing game. And if you can guess correctly, then you win. If you guess incorrectly, you lose, because the skill gap, everyone knows what to do with their Pokemon already. It's a matter of getting a small advantage, and most of the time that advantage is the lead or charge move priority or something like that. But there is that charge move priority weird thing. I still have to like really.
Oh no! So I can actually tell you a little about that.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining me, and
yeah.
I'll see you in upcoming tournaments. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right,
and we'll hit Ultra.
Yeah, once we hit Ultra, we're gonna be battling nonstop, man. All right, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks a lot.
Cool. Yeah, thanks.
I'd like to thank MaroonVI once again for joining me and answering some of my questions. As you just saw, MaroonVI did an off-meta team. He didn't follow the meta. In the previous interview, I did talk to One Shot Paul, and he did say the meta is the meta for a reason, and I'm definitely not going to disagree with that. But it doesn't mean you can't find success using an off-meta team. You just have to know your team and know how to use it very well. I still have to say that practice is key, and no matter what you do, even if you have the best team possible, if you don't know how to use it, you're not going to do well. But that's it for today's video. Thanks for stopping by. If you haven't already yet, make sure you go ahead and click that subscribe button and also click that like button. And that's it. Till next time, guys, this is Best and West. I'll catch you guys later.